All right, what's up, boys? I think we're live. I think we're good. I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. We got a little slate today, just 3 games, but this is a very, very interesting slate because, especially for the first game with the Sixers are going to be the team that's really, they're going to be what decides the slate. And I think this first game, if you get it right, you're going to be in really good shape, heading into the night and potentially to, win money. You're going to have to play this first game right because I think there's a lot of viable plays from the Sixers, but this is a little interesting. So we got word, and I want to touch on this real quick. We got word this afternoon. First off, Seth Curry is questionable now from Philly. We already know Philly is super, super thin right now. They just have so many guys out. Embiid, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, Thibault, Isaiah Joe, Grant Riller, all those guys are still out. And now Seth Curry's questionable. But we got a report earlier today from Doc Rivers. I'm going to pull this on the screen so you guys can see. So this is from NBC Sports Philadelphia. It's a legit site, legit website. We got a report. Rookies seem set to play. Jaden Springer, Aaron Henry wrapped up joint workout over 2 hours for tip-off Monday at Wells Fargo Center. Based on Rivers' post-game comments, one or both rookies will play Tuesday. And this is the important quote right here. Tomorrow we're going to have to play 10 guys. Obviously this was, for today's game. Tomorrow we're going to have to play 10 guys, Rivers said. We have to. I don't know who that is, but 10 guys have to play tomorrow. We've got to get our guys to the end of the game so they're a little fresher. Basically, Doc Rivers is planning on, these rookies, these call-ups, Jaden Springer, Aaron Henry, that have been available these last few games. He plans on giving them minutes today, which is going to take away minutes from the main guys. Curry, if he plays, Korkmaz, who played 40 minutes, Maxey, who's been playing a ton of minutes. He's going to see some minutes come down from him. Shake, we'll talk about him. I think he probably plays a good amount because he only played 22 last game. But a lot of the Sixers, man, I was pretty high on a lot of these Sixers guys, but they are definitely riskier now. Just because I expect Jaden Springer probably gets in the rotation. I think they're going to give some minutes to Aaron Henry too. There's obviously a possibility that Milwaukee blows them out here. I still do like these Sixers guys, but because there's obviously so much usage available without Simmons, without Harris, without Embiid. But there's definitely some blowout risk. There's some possibility that, maybe instead of Maxey playing 35, 36 minutes today, maybe he only plays 28. Because they said he was super, super tired. He's been playing so many minutes lately that they want to cut his minutes down a little bit. So this Philly situation is really tough, man. I think if Doc gives these guys their minutes, they're going to do really well. But we could get screwed over here, and a lot of these guys don't play as much as we thought. I think Drummond, though, Drummond's the one guy that I expect plays big minutes. Because Drummond's kind of been limited all season. He's basically just been the backup to Embiid. He's only played big minutes twice this season when Embiid was out. So I still think Drummond plays big minutes. I feel pretty good about Drummond, but I think Maxey is definitely a little bit riskier. I think Korkmaz might be a little bit riskier since he played 40 minutes yesterday, but Shake only played 22 minutes. I think Shake gets a good amount of run today. I think he plays a little bit more than he did yesterday. And obviously if Seth Curry's out, Shake's going to be a really good play. But Maxey is the one guy that I think really I'm scared of. I still kind of like him, but he's a little bit riskier. He's not going to play 40 minutes today. He's going to probably play low 30s. But that's the important part of the slate, man. You got to get these Sixers guys right. I feel like some of them are probably still going to do well. If this game does stay close, there's going to be a lot of good plays from this game. Drummond can smash at his price. Shake could smash at his price if he plays 30 minutes. Giannis is obviously probably going to smash if the game stays close. But there's definitely blowout concern here. There's possibility that Doc spreads out the minutes from all these guys. It's a tough slate, man. Tough slate for sure. Hey, Noah, let's get it today. How do you like this lineup? Holiday, CJ McCollum, PG-13, Bobby Portis, Paul Reed, Shake Milton, Robert Covington, Andre Drummond. I mean, Paul Reed's he's a question mark too. He didn't play much at all yesterday. He only played 5 minutes. I think they're just going to use Paul Reed as the backup to Drummond. So, if Drummond plays 35, 36 minutes, I don't think Paul Reed plays but, 10, 12 minutes. But who knows? Maybe they'll play Paul Reed alongside Drummond. We just have no idea. Paul Reed's definitely playable. It's a 3-game slate. Anyone that you expect to get 10 to 15 minutes is definitely playable. But I don't have a ton of confidence in Paul Reed, I'll say that. But the rest of that lineup, I do like. Yeah, TJ, it's a rough slate for sure. It's definitely a tricky one. I usually play light on 3-game slates and 2-game, 3-game slates. Short stuff like this, I usually play light. I'll definitely be playing light tonight. Appreciate you as an individual. Hey, thank you, Keith. Thank you, my man. Loving that Portland-LA game. Who are your favorites in that game? Obviously, like Paul George, Dame, CJ McCollum, they're really, really good plays. I think CJ looks really good on DraftKings. He is definitely underpriced at 7,200. He might be my favorite play from this late night game. But like Norman Powell, I think is a solid value. I think Robert Covington gonna play 30 minutes. He's only 4,300. He's definitely in play for value. Anthony Simons is a punt play, is in play for me. Batum, I don't mind, but definitely like CJ, Norm Powell, PG are probably my favorite plays from that late game. Fading Giannis for Paul George, what do you think? I mean, it might be the safer route. Like normally Giannis is always going to be one of the best spin ups, but I think Giannis is a little bit riskier today, just because there is definitely some blowout potential here. But it is such a good spot. Like Philly doesn't have anyone to guard Giannis. I don't know who they're going to put on him. Like it's going to be either Andre Drummond or Paul Reed or Georges Niang. Like they just don't have any good defenders. All their best players, their best defenders are out. So fantastic spot for Giannis. If the game stays close, he's very likely to smash. But there's obviously some blowout concern in this game. I have Giannis in my DK lineup right now, but obviously, I could switch it up from now till lock. But I think I'm going to play Giannis and just hope the game stays close. What's up, Alvin? What's up, my man? Joe Ingles or Bogdanovich on the Jazz? Give me Bogdanovich if I had to pick one. Yeah, we got to keep an eye on the Hawks today. The Hawks, DeAndre Hunter and Bogdanovich and DeAndre Hunter are both questionable from Atlanta. So we could get some value from Atlanta today if Bogdan and Hunter are out. That would open up a lot of minutes to guys like Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, and they're both super cheap. I think Reddish and Huerter would be really, really good value plays if Bogdan and Hunter are out. But the tricky part is, it's a 9 o'clock game. It's an hour and a half after lock. We're probably not going to get news on Bogdan or Hunter before lock. So, yeah. Bro, you got me. Bro, I was like, did he shit in here? I was like, what the hell? You got me geeking, man. I was like, what the fuck? I thought he does shit back there. Yeah, just talked about that, Nicholas. Just talked about that, my man. They're not going to run an 8-man rotation tonight. It doesn't seem like. They're going to play 9, 10, probably. They're probably going to play 9 or 10 guys, I would assume. I think if Seth Curry's out, they'll probably just play 9. But if Seth Curry plays, I mean, they might run a 10-man rotation. So it's just, I don't think we can expect like 40 minutes from Maxey. I think his minutes come down a little bit. I think maybe Korkmaz doesn't play as much. And obviously, they have Henry and Springer, who I think get some minutes, and they're going to get minutes and take minutes away from some of the starters. Fading Giannis for Paul George is okay. Sometimes you got to be on the other side. I mean, on this slate, it's definitely fine. You could obviously go PG over Giannis. I mean, I think those are the best pay-up options for sure. Like, if we get news that Bogdan and Hunter are both out, then we get a lot of value. Then we would get guys like Reddish and Huerter. Reddish and Huerter would be really good values. Then, at that point, you could maybe play Giannis and PG together. But right now, it's really tough to build lineups with Giannis and PG just because, there's not a ton of standout value. I was freestyling on that intro beat. Thank you, and keep working as hard as you do. I appreciate that, Keith. Thank you, my man. I'm always going to be here, boys, Monday through Friday. And I think after NFL season is over, I'll probably start streaming more on the weekends. But I try and be here Monday through Friday for you guys for sure. You like Korkmaz if Curry's out? Definitely. Korkmaz played a ton of minutes last night, but he hasn't been playing as much as like Maxey has. Like Korkmaz, so let's see his last few games. He's been playing like mid-30s. He got like up to 40 last game, but 25, 26, 32, 40. Whereas Maxey's been playing like 40 minutes like 3 games in a row. So I think Maxey's the riskiest option from Philly. I think he's the most likely guy to see his minutes come down a little bit. But I think Korkmaz still plays a good amount of minutes, especially if Seth Curry's out. If Seth Curry's out, definitely Korkmaz and Shake Milton would be really, really good plays. Does Springer get enough minutes to count? Like, I think Springer he's going to play enough to take away from other guys. I don't know if Springer's going to play enough to where you want to roster him, but if he gets 10 minutes, that's 10 minutes that are coming away from Maxey or other guys. So it definitely matters, and especially on a 3-game slate like this, everything, those minutes matter a ton. But I don't think Springer's going to be a guy you really want to roster, I wouldn't think. Jokic or Morris? Dude, I'm such a Jokic fan, but man, that was What he did last night, I mean, honestly, Markieff kind of asked for it. Or, Markieff or I can't remember which one's on the damn Heat. I think it's Markieff. He kind of asked for it, running into Jokic like that. But damn, Jokic, he's probably going to get suspended at least one game, I would think, if not a couple. I know that shit hurt too, because, God, Jokic, man, that dude is a big motherfucker. I mean, he could have got whiplash. His neck, like, bent back like crazy after Jokic hit him. Maxey, Jackson, or Drew Holiday, I still think Maxey's the best play there. I still think Maxey plays like 32 minutes. It would definitely be close between him or Drew. I think I'd still take Maxey, but that's for sure close. I mean, Maxey should still be really productive when he's on the court, because without Embiid, without Harris, without Simmons, he's going to get a lot of opportunity. I just don't think Maxey plays 40 minutes today. I think he plays like low 30s. You think Maxey will repeat his last performance with 42 fantasy points? I mean, he could. He's just going to have to be, more productive, more efficient, because he's not going to play as many minutes as he has been. But he could definitely go for 40 DraftKings points in 32 minutes. I mean, Maxey's going to get some opportunity for sure. I just think he doesn't play as many minutes as he has been. Royce or Covington? I think I would take Robert Covington, but man, that's a close one, honestly. Both guys are not great point per minute players. Both guys play around 30 minutes, most likely in this situation. I guess I'd take Covington. I think it's a better game environment, faster paced game, so I would take Covington. Anything? Oh, so Mitchell, you were the one commented about the dog shit in your house. Dude, I saw Mr. Golf and More, he commented like, clean up that dog shit, and I thought he was talking to me. So I turned around and I was like, did my dog shit? Anything crazy changed since first video? The only news we're waiting on is Seth Curry, who's now questionable, and some Atlanta guys, Bogdan and DeAndre Hunter are questionable. If Bogdan and Hunter get ruled out, Cam Reddish, Kevin Huerter, those guys would be really good values. If Seth Curry gets ruled out, that would make me feel better about guys like, Shake Milton, Ferguson Korkmaz. They would be pretty good plays. But I talked about it at the beginning of the stream. The Sixers plan on running a 10-man rotation tonight. They plan on, giving some minutes to some of these other guys that haven't been playing lately, which just makes everyone on the Sixers a little bit riskier today. But they're still in play for me, especially like Drummond. I still think Drummond plays big minutes. I want to fade Giannis, but it seems impossible to fade him on Yahoo with the options for power forward. I mean, I would kind of agree there. Yeah, I mean, right now Giannis is in my Yahoo lineup as well. Like, if you don't play Giannis on Yahoo at power forward, your other options are John Collins, Batum, Rocco. Like, in order for Giannis to not be in the winning lineup on Yahoo, he's either going to have to do really bad and only score like 40 fantasy points, or one of these value guys is going to have to go for like 30, 35, which I guess could happen. But I think if Giannis gets like 50, he's probably going to be the guy you have to have at power forward on Yahoo. I think it's so hard to not play Giannis on Yahoo with how limited the power forward position is. Just the minimal amount of plays you have at power forward. Drew Holiday or Reggie Jackson? Give me Drew. Sup Noah, shout out from the Philippines. I appreciate you watching, my man. All the way from the Philippines, that's lit. Gobert or Drummond? I would take Drummond, especially because he's cheaper too. I think if they were the same price, I would probably take Gobert, but because Drummond's cheaper, I would take Drummond. Any prize picks tonight? I'll take a look. There's a couple that I like for tonight, especially in this early game, if you want to get on those, but let me pull up prize picks real quick. All right, so fantasy points, there's definitely some fantasy point ones I like. So Andre Drummond over 40.5 fantasy points. Like, if this game's close, I think Drummond goes over 40.5 fantasy points. You look at the 2 games without Embiid, he's put up 50 fantasy points and he's put up 60 fantasy points. So, and he's playing a ton of minutes too. I still think Drummond plays big minutes. So I like over on Andre Drummond's fantasy points. I like over on Drew's fantasy points. Without Middleton, there's going to be more usage available for Drew. He should play more minutes than he did last game, probably like 32, 33 minutes. We're going to need the game to stay close, but if the game stays close, like I think Drummond can go over easily. I think Drew can go over easily. I think Bobby Portis can go over easily. He put up a massive game last time he started. He should start again, play 30, 32 minutes. You're going to need the game to stay close, but if it does, I like a lot of these overs on Drummond, Drew, Bobby Portis. If Seth Curry gets ruled out, I would definitely like Korkmaz over a little bit. I think Niang gets a little bit more minutes today. I don't mind his. And then keep an eye on Huerter, or keep an eye on Bogdan and Kevin Hunt, or God, I get them mixed up, Hunter and Huerter. DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan, if they are out, Kevin Huerter is only projected for 14 fantasy points. I mean, if Hunter and Bogdan are out, like, love the over on Kevin Huerter. That would be an easy play. And honestly, if you want to just take it now and just hope that one of those guys or both of them get ruled out, I think that's totally fine. But those are some picks I like for prize picks for tonight. And for any of you that haven't signed up for prize picks, you guys know if you want to check them out, use code NOAH. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. Royce O'Neal, I think Royce O'Neal's fine. I really never play Royce O'Neal, but on a 3-game slate with not much value, you know, Royce O'Neal for 4,400, he plays 30 minutes. He could definitely be fine at his price point, so I don't mind him on this slate. Any love for Spider Mitchell? I noticed Vegas moved the spread up a little bit. I think Donovan Mitchell's in play. He's not like a top pay-up option for me. I would probably prefer Giannis, PG, Dame. I think I'd prefer too. But, you know, Donovan Mitchell should be lower owned than some of those guys, so he's fine. But on a 3-game slate, you know, really all these guys are in play on a 3-game slate. You can't go wrong with anyone. If anyone's expected to play 15, 20 minutes on a 3-game slate, they're probably going to be playable. Nurkic or Capella? Give me Nurkic. Giannis at least 23 points, Drummond at least 15 rebounds, and Milwaukee to win. I kind of like that. That little prop. If Henry and Springer was to be chosen, which player has upside? I really don't know much about either one. I think Springer has some scoring upside. Like, I think he's a guy that can score. So I guess if I had to roster one of those guys, it would be Springer. But I don't think I'm going to roster either one. It's just that, you know, if those guys get minutes tonight, it's going to take away minutes from some of the guys that we want to roster. You know, the guys we've already talked about. Utility 5,100 and under. 5,100 and under, I would probably say, especially if Seth Curry is out, I would take Court Moss there. Conley, McCollum, PG, Portis, Drummond, Simons, O'Neal, Covington. I think that's pretty solid, Hayden. I think it's a pretty solid lineup. Yeah, probably both those guys probably will. Jokic and Markieff are probably going to get suspended at least 1 or 2 games. I mean, when I watched it back in slow motion, and the Markieff, his hit on Jokic was definitely like dirty. I mean, he leaned in with his shoulder. Like when I watched it at full speed, I didn't think it was like that bad. But when you watch in slow motion, you can see like he wasn't just trying to stop Jokic from shooting. He was clearly trying to like hurt him, and obviously he paid the price. Jokic knocked the shit out of him. I think the Giannis fade is real on DK. Play PG. I mean, yeah, again, you could definitely fade. You could definitely fade Giannis. The only way Giannis fails tonight, I think, is if the game blows out. I think if the game stays close and Giannis plays his normal minutes, he's pretty likely to do well against this depleted Sixers team. But the blowout concern is definitely there. You like Court Moss? I think Court Moss is definitely in play. I would like him a little bit more. Seth Curry, if Seth Curry gets ruled out, we're still waiting for news on Seth Curry. He's still questionable. But yeah, if Seth Curry gets ruled out, I would definitely like Court Moss a little bit more. And I would like Shake Milton a little bit more as well. Top spin-up players on FanDuel, I can't tell you, man. I haven't looked at FanDuel today. It's got to be like Giannis, PG. I know Dame has been really cheap on FanDuel for a while. I think he might still be, so maybe like Dame. But I don't know. I haven't looked at FanDuel today, so can't answer that. How questionable is Curry exactly? I mean, I don't know what he's dealing with. Hold on. I think it's soreness, but I can't tell you. Questionable for Tuesday's game with a left foot contusion. So it's a left foot contusion. I mean, usually when a guy gets ruled questionable and it's a back-to-back, I just kind of assume they don't play. And because Curry's been playing so many minutes lately, he played 41 minutes last night, I think it's pretty likely he doesn't play tonight. But again, we'll just kind of have to wait and see. The game starts in about an hour. We're going to get news on Curry pretty soon. Hopefully we'll get news on him before the stream ends, but we'll see. I'll be live for about 10 more minutes. George Hill for value on Yahoo. I think it's fine, Robert. George Hill's not a guy that I love playing just because he doesn't really have much upside. But he's getting minutes, and he played a ton of minutes last game. Even with Drew back, like they still played George Hill 33 minutes. And I'm pretty sure George Hill started alongside Drew last game. So if George Hill starts again, he probably plays like 30 minutes. You know, he could get lucky and score like 25 fantasy points. But George Hill normally is not a very high upside player. Like he's rarely going to put up a score that you have to have. I think the only way that George Hill is in the winning lineup tonight is if a lot of the studs do really well. So like Giannis goes for 60, PG goes for 60. At that point, you're going to have those guys. So if like George Hill gets like 20, George Hill could be in the winning lineup because, you know, playing George Hill is going to allow you to get in Giannis, PG, the top guys. Pat Connaughton, I mean, Pat Connaughton's fine. Like, he's going to play 25, 30 minutes off the bench. He's got some upside if his shot's falling, but he's normally not a player I really roster that much, especially when for the most part, the Bucks are somewhat fully healthy now. I mean, I know they're still missing Chris Middleton, but like Pat Connaughton, he's just kind of, I don't know, just doesn't really, he's like a George Hill, but a little bit better. I think if Pat Connaughton was like 3,500, I'd be definitely interested, but at 4,200, he feels priced about right, to be honest. Options of small forward and shooting guard seem worse on Yahoo than power forward. You like Giannis or McCollum, PG? I mean, shooting guard's pretty bad too. I will say that, like, you do have Court Moss for $15, who I think is a really good pay down option, especially if we get news that Curry's out. Like, if Curry's out, I would like Court Moss a lot at shooting guard. In my opinion, on Yahoo, I think prioritizing Giannis is probably, that's going to be the way I go. I just feel like Giannis, very likely to be the power forward you're going to have on Yahoo. Whereas you could get like 30, 35 fantasy points from Court Moss and he be the shooting guard that is in the winning lineup. But like small forward, I mean, small forward kind of sucks too. Like almost every position is bad for the most part, except like guard. So like I guess if you don't play PG at small forward, you've got like Norman Powell, Bojan, who I don't really want to play. Danny Green's fine. Ingles I don't really want to play. I would like Herter a lot. Herter's small forward. If we get news Hunter and Bogdan are out, you could play Herter at minimum salary. But I still think, prioritizing Giannis at power forwards, in my opinion, that's the way I'm going. Favorite forward at $13. I think Rocco and Royce O'Neal are both, they're both $13. It would probably be one of those two guys. I think I'd take Covington, but it would be one of Covington or O'Neal. And if we get news that Bogdan and Hunter are out, you could play Kevin Huerter. He's minimum salary. Cam Reddish is minimum salary too. Those guys would be pretty good values. You could swap to them in a scenario where, Bogdan and Hunter are both out. Any plays you like in the Utah game? I mean, we're waiting for news there on Atlanta. There's going to be some potential value from Atlanta if Bogdan and Hunter get ruled out. So I would definitely like guys like Cam Reddish and, Kevin Huerter in that scenario. But like on the Utah side, there's not a ton I love from Utah today. There's definitely some guys that are playable. Donovan Mitchell, Gobert, Royce O'Neal if you need some value. But there's no standout plays for me from Utah, personally. What do you think of Terrence Mann? I mean, Terrence Mann's playable. I think he's priced about right for his role. He's going to come off the bench, play 25, 30 minutes. He's 5,100. He could put up a good game at that price, but I don't think he's like a core play or a top option for me or like a priority. Powell's still a great core player. I think Powell's still a really good play. My full core plays, those are posted on Patreon if you want to check out those. But yeah, I still do like Powell quite a bit. I mean, Powell's underpriced for, at least on this slate, he's underpriced for the minutes he's getting. He's playing 32, 34 minutes a night, and he's still only 5,200. George or Giannis, I personally would take Giannis, but, I think PG is a little bit safer just because that game's more likely to stay close. But like I said earlier, if this Sixers-Bucks game is close and it's, competitive down to the wire, you could get good games from Giannis, from Drew, from Bobby Portis, Drummond. I mean, there could be a lot of good plays in that early game if it is able to stay close. You think you can win without Giannis and PG? I mean, you probably could. Like, I don't think, we never know, but I could definitely see a scenario where Giannis and PG are not in the winning lineup. Just because, for one, there's not much value. So even if those guys do well, it's going to depend on, what kind of value allows you to play those guys. You like Anthony Simons? I think Anthony Simons is in play for sure on this slate. I mean, he's going to come off the bench, play mid-20s minutes. He's 3,800. If you're really trying to jam in Giannis and PG together, or if you're trying to get multiple studs, I think Simons, to make that work, is totally fine. Hopefully Drummond goes for 50 fantasy points again like he's been doing. Drummond's been crushing, man. He's been crushing. He's been playing a ton of minutes too. And like I said earlier, because he's been, Drummond hasn't been playing a lot of minutes this season. He's just been the backup to Embiid. So I think he still plays big minutes. Like, I think he's fresh. But like Maxey, I'm worried about, him seeing his minutes cut a little bit because he's played so many minutes in like 4 straight games. But yeah, if Drummond plays 35 minutes tonight, like he should, if the game stays close, he's gonna do really well. Drummond's a really good point per minute player, and we've seen that, you know, when he's made starts for Embiid this year. How's Jordan Clarkson look? I mean, Jordan Clarkson's a fine option. I rarely play Jordan Clarkson. Really, the only time I play Jordan Clarkson is when one of Conley or Mitchell are out. When they're both healthy, like, I just don't play Clarkson that often. But again, it's a 3-game slate. Almost anyone is in play, so I mean, yeah. Everyone's going to get scared off the Sixers, just going to stay on them. I'm kind of leaning that way too. I mean, I think the Sixers are definitely riskier tonight, but I still do like a lot of Sixers. I like Drummond, Shake, especially if Curry's out. Korkmaz if Curry's out. Maxey might be a little bit riskier, but I think he's still playable. Yeah, I still like most of the Sixers. I'm worried about the blowout. That's the one concern. I think Grayson Allen's an okay play. Again, he's one of those guys that feels priced about right for what his role is and for what we can expect from him. But, you know, it wouldn't be surprising if Grayson Allen had a good game at his price. He's done well lately, but he's normally not that productive of a player. He's normally not a guy that I would be paying $5,100 for. Reggie Jackson, I mean, yeah, Reggie Jackson's another, you know, mid-range option. I would prefer probably Drew. I would prefer maybe Maxey too, but I mean, Reggie Jackson's obviously in play on a short slate like this, but he's not like a priority for me. Okay, we just got word Seth Curry is officially out. Okay. Well, that definitely makes me like, you know, Shake. I mean, Korkmaz. That makes me feel better about the Sixers guys. Now that Seth Curry's out, I mean, they're still going to have like 10 players. They're going to have Drummond, Maxey, Milton, Korkmaz, Niang, Danny Green, Paul Reed. So that's 7. Bassey is 8. Springer's 9. And then 10 would be Henry. They still have 10 players. I think Henry plays. I think Springer plays. I don't think Bassey plays. Like, Bassey's just kind of a center. So I think they're just going to use Paul Reed as the backup center. But yeah, with Seth Curry officially out now, I definitely like Milton, Korkmaz a little bit more. If you want to head over to Prize Picks too, let's see if they've taken it off yet. So they still have Korkmaz at 26 fantasy points. I think over 26 fantasy points for Korkmaz is definitely something you can do on Prize Picks now that Curry's out. And even Niang, I think maybe he gets a little bit more run too. I think they're just going to spread out the minutes. I expect Doc spreads out the minutes, but it's definitely going to benefit guys like Milton and Korkmaz for sure. To fit PG and Giannis, do you think it'd be unwise to fade Drummond? I mean, Drummond's price is up, so like he's not like a must play like I thought he was yesterday, but he is still a good option. He's still a top play for me. But like, there's definitely a scenario where Drummond fails tonight. If he only plays like 28 minutes and it's a blowout, he could put up 40 DK points and that not be great at his salary. Like, for Drummond's price, 7,700, you're wanting, you know, 45, 50 from him. And if it's a blowout and he only plays like 28 minutes, then yeah, he could fail. Whereas like yesterday when he was 5,700, I mean, it was just so hard for him to fail at that price. We got a $4.99 from Maria. $4.99 super chat from Maria. Thanks for the videos, Noah. Please stay safe. I appreciate you, Maria. I appreciate your support as always. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate it. All right, guys. I'm gonna hop off the stream here. I gotta go, you know, fix up the Patreon content. Seth Curry's officially out, so I gotta go update everything for that. I wish you guys the best of luck tonight, though. Appreciate you watching. We got a massive slate tomorrow. I think we have like 13 games tomorrow. I'll be live probably same time, maybe a little earlier. And we'll talk through tomorrow's slate, answer any questions, and you know, we'll be back as usual. So good luck tonight, guys, and thanks for tuning in.